Hi, high school friends. It's Christine Campbell from Indiana University, and I'm back with tips and information on how to be a better ally in the workplace. Let's democratize AI. Today, we're going to talk about 3 ways in which bias can show up in the hiring process. First, we're going to talk about how bias can show up before an interview. Then, we're going to talk about how bias can show up during an interview. And finally, we'll talk about the concept of fit and how bias can affect our perspective in discerning who is a good fit for a certain position. Outreach for your new job position should span just beyond your basic professional channels. Have you reached out and connected with professional organizations and affinity groups within them to share your job position information? Names are incredibly powerful when it comes to bias. Stereotypically old, feminine, or racialized names are less likely to be selected. In order to prevent this, a good idea is to block identifiable information from CVs and resumes when evaluating candidates to move on to the interview section. Letters of recommendation and references, which is a topic we'll be talking about in the next video, can be another avenue for bias. When asking for letters of recommendation, take keen consideration about whether the language used is actually portraying the candidate or whether bias may be affecting it. Now let's talk about how bias can show up during an interview. All day back-to-back evaluative interviews can be inaccessible to many different kinds of candidates. For an example, candidates that are disabled may find it hard to find the physical stamina to move through, and nursing parents can find it hard to find the much-needed time to pump. Having a consistent protocol of questions, including allowed follow-up questions, can create consistency within interviews. Take such protocols to diversity and equity experts as well as human resource professionals to make sure that they are acceptable. Finally, let's talk about the concept of fit. Fit is one of the most consequential ways that bias can affect the interviewing and hiring process. Instead of relying on fit to guide candidate evaluation, be proactive and create rubrics based on what you need from candidates. Consider the composition of your hiring committee and how it can affect the evaluation of what fit means. Regardless of representation, have meaningful conversations before interviews begin about potential biases. Today we talked about how bias can show up before an interview. We talked about how bias can show up during an interview. And finally, we talked about the concept of fit and how bias can show up in our evaluation of what fit means. Alright friends, this is this week's Icicle Ally tips and information from me, Christine Campbell. They'll be coming out every 2 weeks. Stay tuned and I'll see you next time.